Alrighty. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. Again, we're doing this podcast with the lovely Erica. Hi. And today's topic is going to be a little bit, not quite like a controversial topic, but a little bit controversial, I guess, about like ethics in the horse community and working horses and things like that. I should probably define that a little bit better for the title.
This topic is about this, also this, and this as well.
Yeah, it just feels...
But I had a conversation today, which
Okay.
is why I thought maybe we should talk about this. I said I was doing this podcast with you, and I said, you do the carriage driving stuff in the city.
I used to, yeah.
Yeah, and they said, because they don't ride horses.
Of course,
like,
yeah.
Oh, that's so cruel.
Of course.
And I was like, oh, okay.
You know what? I spent 12 years of my teenage adult life being spat on, having things thrown at me, having people try and release my horses.
Oh, cool.
Having people throw things at my horses.
Yeah.
Have people run out in front of my carriage, jump on my carriage, jump into my lap, all kinds of things.
What? No.
Because animal activism is different. Well, no. I think there's no line anymore between animal activism and animal extremism. Like, as a person, myself, a human being that exists in the society, I ensure that not only myself, but my husband buys not just free-range eggs that say free-range on the box, but they have to follow certain personal standards.
Me too. And it's not cage-free.
No.
That's dodgy.
Yeah, no, I don't want any... No, I'm looking at your standards. I need to know how many hectares those hens have, you know. Yeah. And preferably I get them, I teach a student, they've got a bunch of chooks, I give them cottons, they give me eggs, you know? I am also a vegetarian, except bacon. But that is not only, like, that's not just like an ethical choice, so much as like my body cannot digest this, but I make sure, you know, like I had a child talk to me the other day, and she said, oh no, the parent. I was teaching at a riding school.
Yeah.
Where the story came in. I was like, where did this come from? I was at a riding school, and a parent said to me, do not tell my child where meat comes from.
Stop.
Because they eat meat products, and I don't want them to know that they're killing animals. And I was like, no. That is...
So why would this come up in a lesson? Good, and put your hands down, and we kill cows for food, and,
you know, like...
rise in trot.
Yeah, like...
Where did that come in?
But it's like, it was a holiday program, so I had them for the whole day.
Okay.
You know, we have lunch together.
Yeah, no.
So it makes a little bit more sense. But seriously, if you have a problem with killing animals, do not kill them.
I don't...
Like I can kill a chicken like no other person. So fast, girl.
I've never done that.
Pa! Just bang! You know? It's just, you gotta...
I had a girl the other day, she'd never been on a farm before, but her dad is a chef, and he is like a real sort of feminism kind of person. She's very smart, and she said to me, do you use your cows for food? And I thought, this might be a bit too much for her, but, you know, she asked it, and I said, oh, no, we don't, but we do sell them for meat. And she said, well, how do you know that you're not eating them? How do you know that your parents haven't killed them, and you're just eating them and you don't know? And I was like, I don't! She just was so onto it.
Yeah.
And I thought, and she's 6, and I just thought that was good, that she knew where her food came from.
Absolutely.
And she was, you know, she's pro animal welfare, but she knew where it came from, and she was respectful of it and all that sort of thing. I just thought that was good.
I would not, like, as someone who did some of my growing up farm-wise, there's like a lot of complications in my childhood that we're just really not going to delve into.
Yeah, same, but it's fun.
Yeah, so like I stayed with my friend's family quite a bit.
Yeah.
And like I when I was younger, especially now, still, like I'll call him up and be like, he's my dad. I call him my dad.
Yeah.
You know, we have that kind of. Yeah. And so he bought a cow one year, and it stayed in a small pen, like a younger calf, not quite calf, more like steer. Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, whatever.
Look,
stayed in a little pen.
But cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. You know it. Lots of other people probably don't. It's like a baby kind of middle ground.
It's a teenage cow.
Teenage cow.
Yeah.
And it stayed in a little pen.
Yeah.
In the paddock with the horses.
Okay.
So the horses interacted with this little dude in there having a good time. You know? And they'd like lick him and he'd like lick them, and you know, like it's a very interesting kind of situation that you would never think that a steer would be in.
Yeah.
And then I went away for a while, and then I came back and it was gone.
Okay.
And then I was like, where did the cow go? And he's like, oh, it's in the freezer. And it was just, that's it.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, okay, cool. And just, you know, the boys at this particular house had to kill chickens, and that's how I learned to kill chickens. Mm-hmm. And you get very good at it when your role model teaches you how to do it ethically. Yeah. You know? Yeah. There was no pansying around, and you got in big trouble for pansying around. Yeah. Because that's, I get that. You know, that's somebody's life that you're dealing. You can't be like, Yeah. No. No, it's dead, and it's dead right now.
Yeah. We, Mum and I talked a little bit about, okay, I don't know exactly what it was, but the Brumbies.
Okay,
in the state forest, or whatever it was.
Right.
Right? It was eating on the grass, and people were like, we need to do something about this, we should do a cull.
Yes.
And then everyone was like, oh my Lord, like, how dare you, this is awful. And Mum, who's a vet, we've had to talk about it quite a bit, she was like, so you're saying that you catch all these Brumbies who are wild and whatever, and then you try and train them or do whatever you do, and then you send them up to this 15-year-old girl and her mum who's never seen a horse in her life, and they stick it in a paddock in Werribee, and it has a rug on in the middle of summer. You're saying that's better than just humanely
euthanizing them.
Just move on. Like, it's an interesting sort of, you know, people are so pro-life, almost to the point of
being cruel.
Yeah. But
it is cruel. And so, another thing too, I went to university and I studied psychology and biology. Fancy. And, it's not that fancy because I didn't finish it. But as the biology in me looks at it and goes, holy crap, there's horses out there, get them out of there, it's ruining all of the nature's wildlife. Like, all the natural wildlife. Yeah. Everything that those horses are eating should be eaten by things that belong in Australia. Yeah. Every time I see a deer, why are you here?
Bambi, cute, but also...
Get out of here. Yeah. Shoo-shoo. You know, and it's different in Canada as well. There's a different gun culture in Canada. Which is a whole other ethic topic that I think, but there is a huge difference between Canadian gun culture and American gun culture.
No, because I believe that.
There is more guns per capita in Canada than there is in the United States.
Look, no one knows that. That seems like a good...
Fun fact.
A good fact.
Yeah, fun fact. There is no... Like, you just don't learn about guns shooting people in Canada because they shoot animals.
Yeah,
that's kind of what they're for, you know? Like, handguns are very restricted. To have a concealed carry in Canada would be very difficult to attain. Yeah. Like, you can't hide a weapon in your purse. Like, what is this business? Whatever. Neither here nor there. There's also times of the year that you should be killing certain animals. Yeah. Like, this is deer season, this is elk season, this is, you know, and then you get like a a pull where a few people or one person in an area can kill a grizzly or can kill a predator, you know? But you can only kill predators in certain circumstances if you have the right ding ding. You have to have all of your boxes checked. And, you know, there was a cougar that kept coming on the property of this complicated situation. And he called the council about it quite a few times. The council is the term that I would use here. It's not called the council again.
The people.
The people who come to trank it and rehome it. You know, like, that thing's coming back.
Like my mum rehomed our RSPCA dog. I know what you did.
Yeah.
Just put it down.
Just put it down. But, you know, so he called them, they didn't do anything. There's foals, like young horses on the property. You can't have cougars.
No.
And then, you know, it came back. He called again. They didn't show up. It came back. He called again. They didn't show up.
Yeah.
Came back. He shot it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you
can't have that. But now he's got a cool cougar skill. Like,
but he would have shot it in one go. That kind of thing.
Yeah, shot it in one go and fed it to the dogs. You know, there was nothing wasted.
Yeah.
You have to be careful about, you know, you have to smoke that meat because of worms and pests that come on predators of the wild variety.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, that's used.
Yeah.
You use that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Back to
ethics. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. We have about 700 different types of antihistamine.
Dose me up.
Would you like some?
No, it's alright.
Okay.
If it gets bad,
because we have like tablets, eye drops, nasal spray, like
just splash me with it. I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, back to ethics.
Yeah, go.
As someone who has driven horses that work for a living, I have to be on time for things. Like, I don't get to make 7 20-meter circles until I make a perfect one.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I got 15 minutes to get from here to there, and I'm not missing that lady's wedding.
Yeah.
You know, it's important to her.
Yeah.
And the bond that you receive with a working animal is unlike anything else.
Yeah.
Anything that I've ever had riding.
Well, there's two sides to the coin, because I think when my family and I, we went to India.
Yeah.
And there's a program I think it was India. Yeah. There's a program there where they teach people who have working animals how to look after them, because they don't even have enough money to look after themselves. And so these animals aren't treated very well at all.
Yeah.
And so, not necessarily because they don't care about them, but because why would you feed the horse extra food when the money that you've earned can go to you? So, and so there's a bit of that, because as soon as an animal is a means to make money, then the welfare of the animal goes down slightly, because you need that money.
Right.
And if that's your only way to make money, then a lame horse is lower on your priority than food in your belly. But in countries like Australia, where that kind of thing isn't an issue, then the welfare of the horse becomes a little bit more important. Like, especially, I've seen the carriage horses go around. Like, none of them are in bad shape whatsoever. And I try and talk to people about it, but, you know, they don't know horses at all. But we're lucky here in the fact that we're not destitute enough for the welfare of the horse to be
decreased.
Yeah.
And also, when you're looking at it in a country like Australia, Canada, the States, Ireland, places that I've been and driven a horse.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just me being like, Canada and Australia. Like, I've done it all over the shop.
Yeah.
And I got to taste it a little bit in Mexico, and I got to taste it a little bit in the Philippines. And the difference, obviously, is vast. But in the Philippines, when Tim and I got to experience that a little bit, the man actually took us into what I would think is pretty close to getaway type where they lived.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's also where their horse lived. You know? And their horse lived in a part of their house.
Cool.
So there's like this concrete box thing that the horse lives in, and then the concrete floor area that's where all of their family sleeps.
Yeah.
And all the piss and shit just slides down, you know, and they're like a little vendor there, and he's so excited because, man, there's white people coming, you know. And he's like, do you want some beer? It's like 9 a.m. Of course we do. Whatever.
You know I do.
Yeah. And I don't drink anymore, but I did at the time. And so Tim and I stopped and we chatted with these people and had a beer. And his English wasn't super hot. And I don't know any, the Filipino language is not going to happen. Yeah. In fact, I don't even, is it called Filipino? I don't know what the Philippine language is.
That's a good point. One of my very good friends is Filipino and I don't know.
Okay. There's got to be, I'm pretty sure that language has its own name. I don't know. It's all good.
Yeah.
Woo, we sound very untraveled.
We sound very wide.
Yes, but we got to experience this and we got to do quite a bit of really interesting, thank you, Minky, experiencing of how they take care of the horse and how they take care of themselves and like how on par that was. Yeah, the horse didn't have a whole lot of weight, but neither did those kids.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you know.
And I wouldn't say I saw any abuse, but it just was, and I don't blame them at all. They weren't like our horses, but why would they? Like, but I did see, this is slightly off topic, but I did see those cobras and the guy who does the little flute thing.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting on the side of the road. Right?
Yes.
And I had never seen that in my life. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And so I stopped and had a look.
Yeah.
They have this little basket, right?
Yes.
So the snake's coiled up inside.
Yes.
And which, at first I thought was cruel, but then I thought that's what they do anyways.
Yeah, they loved living in little baskets.
And he pulls the basket out like this. And the way that he makes them stand up is like he hits them.
Yes.
And the more I stood there, the more the snake would go down, the more he would hit it.
Yeah.
And that is sort of a good example of how, like, that's how he made his money.
Yes.
And if the animal wasn't performing, then, like, it's a bit like in a dressage test where you're like, I do not care, put your head down right now, and everything goes out the window. It's sort of like,
right.
But, I felt really guilty about it because that animal was clearly, performing for this guy. But the horses were actually in really good shape. But
see, I always see more abuse to horses in countries with more money. Yeah. And it's because, like, I've paid this much money for you and you're not doing what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah. I suppose, like, in India, because of their religions, because they're so, they worship cows.
Yeah.
So, they treat their horses well.
Yes.
It's just that they're not.
Yeah. They don't have the funds to make them
They all
fat.
have club feet. So.
Yeah. They don't understand genetics to breed that out. You know?
And they're all just like, like, oh, honey, no.
Yeah,
but, here. So there's a flip side where I truly believe those carriage horses are in pretty good shape. Sure, being on concrete all day, not great. But there's worse things in the world. Like, genuinely, they're very good condition.
Absolutely.
I actually think,
And, the people that you came to see, that so they usually have about 100 horses at a time. And they bring maybe 6, maybe 8 out for a weekend.
Yeah, I saw a post on that.
So the 6 or 8 will go out so the rotation generally, there's like a home paddock where the working horses are. There's usually 15, 20 horses there.
Yeah.
Then there's and a couple of stallions, having a good time. and then there's the you're having babies paddock.
Yeah.
And then there's like a way out in whoop 100 acres where babies grow up and horses have a year or two off.
Yeah.
You know, and then they come in, they do a work rotation. A lot of the time, if they've had some time off, those horses, to bring them back into condition a little bit more, will take some of the babies out on the breaker.
Yeah.
You know, and then those horses will come out into the city for the weekend, and they go back to the home paddocks. And Garfield makes a lot of grass.
It's a big, flat place.
With a lot of grass.
Yeah.
And some of them got very fat.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they work maybe 6 months, maybe, in a rotation. Yeah. So they're like, 6 months, I work for 3 days, I go home. I work for 3 days, I go home. Yeah. And then they'll go back out to wherever, either the mares will go into full, or, you know, they'll go out into the middle of nowhere, like, depending on where they are in the rotation, or they'll sell.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they have very many horses over the age of 10.
Oh, okay.
Most of the stuff that comes out on the street is they'll come out for 3 days as a youngin'.
Yeah.
So you're like, 3, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And they come out, and sometimes they get 1 day out, and then they're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we brought a second baby just in case.
Yeah.
And they'll put another baby on, and then the baby will go, okay. And then they'll be like, oh, which one of you is good for the last day?
Yeah.
You know, and then the last baby will come out. And then, because the truck can fit kind of 8 horses on it.
Yeah.
You know, 8 drafties. Or like 4 in a carriage.
Yeah.
But then those babies will go back out and mature.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back in.
Yeah.
And then they'll start the actual work rotation.
I think, you know, on a day-to-day basis, they work hard, but not hard as in, they always just seem so, like, not nappy. Do you know what I mean? Like, they seem so nice, like, happy with each other. They work, probably because they work together as well. They just seem so content, which I think
they're like
really
bright enough that when you approach them, they're aware.
Yeah.
You know?
But then also quiet enough that when you tie them up, they just
stand there and hang out.
And they just have a sleep. Yeah. Which I think is really nice.
Yeah. And it's nice because they sell a lot of those horses to the police department, and you know, WA police buys a lot from the people in Garfield.
Yeah.
And riding schools and places that, you know, because after they go out in the city, backing them is usually like nothing.
If a bike rider can go past with and a tram.
A tram! That's the big one. When I first came here, I was like, okay, I'm driving a pair of horses, which was unusual. I had driven a lot of single.
Yeah.
Driving a pair. Okay, I'll get used to this. Ooh, I'm driving on the wrong side of the road. Okay, I'll get used to this. Ooh, there's a hook turn. Oh, crap, that's why there's a hook turn. There's a tram. So it wasn't, like, I had never been in a city situation with light rail.
Yeah.
And that was really disorienting for me. Just being like, like, oh, don't panic,
Do you know how hard it is to learn how to drive with trams when you live in the country? I just thought that I didn't know where the lines were because there's all these lines, and then people were sort of doing whatever, and I was like, do I give way to the tram? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
I just follow it.
Yeah, I just tram super stops. That's me, just going right in there with my carriage. I'm just like, whatever, guys. You know, it was just, but that's, I found great confidence knowing a pair of horses, and then they'd go, and I'd be like, I loved you. See you in 6 months. You know?
It's hard to explain to someone how light a carriage genuinely is.
Oh yeah, well we pull them out by ourselves.
Yeah.
I weigh 60 kilograms.
And how strong a percheron is. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, you can't even explain to someone, first of all, how heavy they are, and just how incredibly, like, I saw a video of a percheron or whatever, pulling a log, like a big log, just in the forest.
Yeah, like dragging it through roots and shit.
Yeah, and then you've got 2 horses there, and I'm trying to explain, they're essentially just walking. They're not doing anything. They're not even walking fast, and sometimes they break into a jog, but they just don't understand.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I probably shouldn't say this, but I've full clipped a pair of horses in the CBD.
It's not,
But the only reason is because there was people chasing me trying to throw beer bottles at me. It was.
We think you're being cruel, so we're going to abuse you and also the horses.
And I was just like, get up, and they're like, okay, let's go.
So I'm like, thank God.
And it's funny because one of those cantering, and then I had this lazy horse. Her name is Wednesday. You know Wednesday. And you remember Wednesday every time. I was like, Wednesday, get up. Yeah. And she was like, I'm gonna kick you. And I was like, dude.
Wednesday's like, drag me.
She's like, I got one cantering, and Wednesday's like, fast trot. Best as you're gonna get. And I was like, come on, Wednesday. And she's like, kick the carriage. Fast trot. I was like, fine.
I will not.
I refuse.
Everyone's
Excuse
watching
me.
and she's like, don't you dare hit me.
I'm not going to hit you.
Nothing's wrong here. Like,
well, I'm like dodging beer bottles. That was so bad. The reason, one time, I was at a trot. One of my best friends was driving in front of me. Mm. And this is a circumstance that I had run into more than once. But now that I've done it more than once, my instantaneous reflex is, I'm going to whip you.
Yeah.
And so I'm going along, and I'm driving, and this guy's real drunk, like, weaving all over the place. And he looks at my horses and gets that, like, eyes, you know, where he's like, I see that, I'm going to be a part of that. And he picks his hand up. He's got the beer bottle in the other hand, and it's like, he's going to smack one of my horses. He's going to smack one of my horses. My horse goes past, and he goes, bleh, and smacks it. And I go, and I snap him across the neck. And then he's like, starts swearing things that I obviously shouldn't say on the podcast.
Yeah.
And he threw the beer bottle, and my friend is looking back at me because and I'm laughing. And then she goes, duck! And I go like, down. What? And it was like, right over my head.
I just don't understand. What? Oh, God.
I mean, like I did. I whipped him. But another thing was people trying to unharness or untie your horse.
Yeah, try it. Go on. Do you know how hard that is?
The first part was I had someone untie my horse in Canada, and my horse got away.
Yeah, I believe that. They look super calm, but if you untie a horse, they're just gonna off they go.
But I'm going back to the truck.
Yeah.
I think my day is over.
That's a flat out gallop.
Yeah, I'm gonna go full clip right back home.
Surely that's illegal. Is that illegal?
I don't know, because there's not enough bylaws for the equestrian industry.
Okay.
There's just not enough laws, you know? And so he started, I had a walk, and then I looked up and I was like, oh no. And I started to run and he could hear me.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Chatting."
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to catch you.
When you're doing that weird walk, you're like, I'm not trying to chase.
And then, then all of us are full pelt, and he's like, I don't get her.
Yeah.
And he got away down the road, turned, on the road that he would normally turn, in the lane that he would normally be in.
Bless him.
Bless him. Through the four-way stop, having a great time for a couple of four-ways. And some man decided he was Indiana Jones.
Okay.
He's gone,
Yeah.
One of the guys is in his truck trying to go and chase him now. I'm just holding down the fort. And then he gets there, and this Indiana Jones fellow has my horse doing wheelies. Round in circles.
Okay.
In the middle of a four-way stop.
Nice.
With his foot on the brake. So the whole carriage is going...
He got on the...
He jumped on the back.
See,
climbed onto the front, saw a pedal, and was like, this is obviously what I'm going to do. Stomps.
Yeah.
Then the wheels lock. Now he's just dragging it.
Yeah, because
it's not
surely
heavy.
a horse would be able... Yeah.
It's not heavy. He's dragging it now. And then he's like, oh, there's reins tied here. I've seen this before, obviously, in a movie.
Okay, cool.
Unties, but only pulls one.
Okay.
So it's going in circles. But,
Okay.
Yeah, so we ended up catching him. Horse didn't pull up lame. Carriage perfectly good. Everything was fine. Just drove him back up.
And then in the on the road, there's like this you can see how people have been like
doing burnouts.
Yeah, whatever that is. I don't know. My white, privileged white person, I don't know what that is. I don't know how to do it. But it would be like tiny little white ones.
Like black ones from the little thin tires. Yeah, definitely.
And like a 10-meter circle. Just it's adorable.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the thing is, when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of it, if you don't like driving as a sport, then you can't like riding. Like, if you morally disapprove of driving, then you cannot say that riding is okay.
Yeah, but I think that whatever it is, RSPCA, they do make that point.
Yes.
They're like, you know, and also I think hardcore vegans think that we should not, like, animals should not, like, serve us, basically.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And so that means that a hardcore vegan, which means, like, for our own selfish purposes, which means you couldn't even have a dog.
I couldn't have a dog.
Yeah. So that means you couldn't ride horses.
No.
You couldn't even have a horse.
No.
Because why would you have a horse? Even if you rescued it.
No. You can't, because it's still your slave.
Yeah.
It's still in an artificial situation.
Yeah, like.
But even to come further back to, because we all know that hardcore anything is too much. So just to try and, I always try and find myself in the middle, where I go, okay, these are my friends who just, hate vegans. And these are my friends who, actually nobody hates a horse-drawn carriage that I am friends with, but that's okay. But, at least to the listeners that don't believe that carriage driving is okay, you really have to look at it and go, why?
Yeah.
Because why do you think that, is it because you don't understand the sport?
Yeah.
Is it because you believe that when you harness a horse, leather around it is different than putting leather on it? What part of this? Because they pull rather than carry? A horse is much more built to pull than it is to carry over the spine.
I can tell you that our Welsh pony, who we had someone break her into harness, is way happier in the harness than she ever was.
They move better.
When I rode her. Yeah, and like, better to catch, better even when she's in the harness, she moves better, she's more
free over the back.
Yeah, and like her attitude is better, she's just much more, I mean, when I say free, one time she bolted, so she literally was free, but apart from that,
and there is, then it comes down to the racing industry, which was part of what we brought up.
Yeah.
People, for anybody listening in Canada, the racing industry here in Australia is humongous. And it's a really big part of the culture, not just the horse industry, not just people who gamble.
Yeah, which is weird.
But,
like people who don't ride horses or have anything to do with horses, they go to the races.
People don't even gamble, and they still go to the races.
It's weird. Why would you do that?
Because girls like to get dressed up and get drunk.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's such a huge thing here. So big that there is a public holiday every year.
Which I would, because I don't care about the races.
Yes, exactly. But there's a public holiday here every year for the races. You get time off work, and that blew my mind. But the racing industry is, again, very controversial, just like the carriage industry. And it really, people are like, oh, that horse had to be put down. Or every year at, the races, the big races, the Melbourne Cup, a horse has to be put down. And that's just the way it is.
Here's the problem, look, I do dressage. I don't really do anything else, to be honest. Not interested. But I would say, so carriage driving is the only thing that I've encountered, apart from horsemanship.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That I have absolutely no reservations about. Actually, genuinely love it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to use a horse for something, I'd rather be a carriage horse. But I do have a lot of issues with, and dressage is just as cruel. It just is wrapped in a fancier package.
Yes.
But I just think there's a lot of cruel things going on in the racing industry, and I'm not going to change them. But if there was going to be if the RSPCA was going to address something, I don't think it should be the carriage driving. It should be something else, like the racing industry. But the problem with that is that it's not so much that horses have to be put down, but it's the other mentalities that all the other, like, eventing and dressage have as well, where it's like you break in horses at 3 years old. They're not ready to be broken in at 3 years old. It's not just necessarily the racing industry, but I thought maybe we could bring it up. But
yeah,
it's the same thing. But we've talked about it a little bit, where the welfare of the horse is always, sometimes is slightly low on the priority list. Like, I was working the other day for a riding school, but I work for a couple of riding schools, and I'm actually really, the ones that I work for, I only work for ones that I, in general, agree with and all that sort of thing. So I have no problems with them, except this horse came in and he was projectile diarrhea. Like, it was, and I was like, and he was a little bit sort of like on edge, and I didn't know if he'd just been in a new paddock or if like I was like, I don't know what is going on with this horse, but he might be seriously sick. Like,
and I don't need to laugh
5 times. I was like,
there is something so funny about everything that comes from people's anuses or horses, anything about it. I just find it so funny.
And she cracking up, and I was like, hilarious. But
yes,
I
not
went
funny.
in at the end of the lesson, and I was like, something's seriously wrong with this horse. Like, we need to do something. And they were like, he's just being an asshole. Then they had this lady, I don't know who she was. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Lunge this pony.
Yes.
For 45 minutes.
What?
And a flat out canter. And
What?
I don't mean, oh, he's a bit energetic, we'll just work him a bit. No. This lady, she put side reins on this pony.
Oh my goodness.
And literally, maybe like less than a 15-metre circle, just beat this pony around. Because,
hunting him.
Yeah, because he's that riding pony type where he's just like a bit quick. And so he's fine normally, but you know that sort of where you're trying to get a kid who's never ridden before on, and just a little bit. And she just, until he was dead.
Nose to the ground.
And I was like, I just
told you that he was sick.
Yeah. And I think it comes from this complete, when I say ignorance, I don't mean it as in you're an idiot. I mean genuinely people don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
Like, and
no one's ever taught them any better.
Yeah, and all these, I think, let's say martingales, side rein, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. But the way people deal with problems is a good indication of their education level. Because why would you, if there's a million other ways of doing it. First of all, he probably should just have gone out. But it just, if that's your only way of dealing with an issue, then I don't think you should be teaching, first of all.
Yeah, if that's your go-to.
You know.
Because, like, so the first thing that I do with ponies and horses that I'm working with is make sure that the mentality that they use all the time is calm and quiet.
Yeah.
Calm, relaxed, quiet. If it's not a pace that I want to ride, I don't make it circle in that pace. I don't let it walk next to me at that pace. Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't lead it at that pace. I don't put it on a circle at that pace.
Yeah.
The use of side reins and jambons, or Chambon?
I don't know.
It feels French, so I feel like
I think it's,
Chambon.
I think so. I know what you're talking about.
But Chambon.
Yeah.
It's also the way it's...
Chambon.
Whatever. You know, things like that. Like you saw, I posted a photo of me lunging a pony. But she had side reins on partially because that connection helps her balance. And the lunge was pole work partially. Lunge being a loose term because everything I do on a lunge is very slow and like...
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say flat out gallop.
Never. I never hunt anything. Because why would I? Because I don't want to ride that.
Well, that's a good point, because
why would I teach it to my
sometimes,
horse?
and it happens in showing all the time, is people will put a horse on the lunge at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they will, oh my god, okay, they will just, literally, they'll just hold on to the end and just let this horse gallop around until it's, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes 2 hours, I've seen it.
Oh,
and then they're just like, yeah, right, and then they get on. And it may not necessarily be exhausted, but someone said to me, the same thing, where you can't, if a horse is behaving in that sort of giraffe, llama, whatever you want to call it, letting it do it more is just going to make
emancipate the problem.
Make it so much worse. And so these people, and my horse had the same thing, so I get it, where you're just like, I don't even know how you'd slow this horse down, and you just sort of freeze. Yeah. But they just go, right, I'm just gonna go lunge this horse, and they're not surprised in the slightest. They just let this horse go and gallop and gallop and gallop.
That's insane.
And I'm like, I don't understand how you can be at the Melbourne Royal and not know, first of all, how to lunge a horse. Get that dang shoulder out, I swear to God.
Yeah.
And they're just like you're the lunger, and I'm like, what? Would you let a horse do that when you were riding? You would never do that. No. Like, as soon as
if I'm lunging a horse, I look at, every time I lunge a horse, I look at it as if I have a child on it.
Yeah. If you would, exactly. And as soon as things get a little bit crazy, because I do have a horse who, very unbalanced, a little bit of a noodle.
Bring him in.
Which someone did have to tell me, to be honest. Yeah. But now that I know, you can't let a horse
flail.
If you don't let a horse do something that you wouldn't want to ride.
Don't ever.
But I think all these things come from not knowing how to, and we love our horses, but sometimes there's these cruel things that we do. I've just learnt about tongue ties. I don't know how I feel about them. No, I do know. I hate them. But I'm not part of the racing industry, so I don't know. But I feel real uncomfortable about them.
I think that if your horse has a problem with the soft palate breathing at that pace, then you should not breed that animal.
And I understand. I get what they're doing it for, and all that sort of thing. And my solution, well, don't race that horse. Yeah. Which is obviously you can't do that, because
why can't you?
I know. Well,
I mean, there's a lot of horse brands out there that have 257 on the top and 9 on the bottom.
No, that's true. But I mean, that's true.
Sorry, just to explain that statement to anybody listening. Thoroughbreds get branded with a number on the top and the bottom. The top is how many foals were born that year at that particular stud, and the bottom is the year that they were born. So I saw a horse today that had 257 on the top. I saw a horse at a competition recently that had 1,002. At one stud bred that year.
I will say though, because I talked to my mum about it, she did say that it's possible that there's a couple of different places, but it's still the same sort of stud. But regardless,
is
1,002 a lot of horses.
1,002 in a year. That's insane. So, yes, I believe that if you need to tongue tie that horse, then maybe you should probably just let it go to a retrainer.
No, I believe that too. Yeah,
let it go to a retrainer.
But if the horse is winning, no way would anyone.
No.
But I do have a real issue with that. Also, here's another thing. I don't understand how we have to have a conversation about how tight a noseband should be. I don't understand. First of all, 2 fingers this way is the same as 5 fingers. It's the same as 10 fingers. Do you know what I mean? That's got to be 2 fingers this way, surely. Regardless, I don't understand how Grand Prix riders can just walk around being like, what do you mean a tight noseband hurts? I just don't get. People are so obsessed with winning, and their horses are like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. And then the riders are like, hey, I don't
give a shit.
I was gonna say that. But he's a what do you call them? Crank nose band.
Oh, like a Hanoverian or a flash or...
because when you've got a double one, you can't have a flash strap. And so they've got a...
What's a crank?
It's a nose band where there's like... Okay, so here's the nose band, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like a little... I actually have one on my Clydesdale, but it's loose. That's how the bridle came. It's a really nice bridle, but anyway.
Okay.
And so it's got like a little sort of like square piece here. And then you pull it through like this. It's like... The leather bit goes through.
Yeah, and it comes back over.
So that you can pull it as tight as you can pull it tighter that way.
Oh.
Than doing it the other way.
Okay.
That is not a recommendation.
So I have a crank nose band on mine. I never knew.
Yeah.
So okay, I recently was at a competition.
Yeah.
And I had to be gear checked at an EA comp.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on my horse, and she said, "Oh, are you going to do up your nose band?" And I was like,
I've had that.
It's done.
Yeah.
Like 10 millimeters. That's literally what it says in the rule book. In FEI, 10 millimeters of clearance.
When you
pull it out over the nasal bone.
Yeah.
You need to have 10 millimeters of clearance.
Yeah. Okay.
Literally says that in the rule
That's
book.
1 centimeter.
Yes.
It's fine. I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, a centimeter's like that much.
Yeah.
It's clear enough.
I think, but I also don't think you should have to. Some people are like, no, you can definitely, and then they've got to like rip it apart.
So I recently went to a place to get a lesson, and they had talked to me. I have a problem stopping my pony. We've talked about this a lot in the podcast.
Yeah, I feel like this is a theme. I think the podcast should be. What's your name, Tyson?
Ty.
I can't stop my horse.
I can't stop my horse. Not behind the lane.
Yeah,
way too far in front.
My horse is afraid of
He's out of here. But yeah, I rode this horse, and he was dead to my leg, and I was like, this sucks. But he was in a double. I could position his head anywhere. He was an FEI horse. And I just found him so not FEI when I was riding him. I was like, to get him to do a Travere was a big effort.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, move your butt over. And he's like, your spurs are fake news. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, move your butt. And meanwhile, I'm so used to my horse. I'm like, please. And he goes, okay. You know, I will go very fast sideways.
Yes. Please, just don't touch me.
Look, I am now a crab. Look, I am now a straight. Look, I am now crab other way. I was like, okay, great. You know, he's very good. Yeah. But this horse was very pliable in the head and neck, and I was like, whoa, look at him go. Yeah. You know, and there's moments where I'm like, oh, I feel like he's quite deep there. Like,
yeah.
Get out. And this lady was saying to me, yes, there's a lot of different tactics. She's like, ride, and then slam on your brakes and see what happens. And I was like, okay, I rode, I slammed on my brakes to what I would believe is slamming on my brakes. He stopped, obviously. He's behind my leg anyways.
Yeah.
And then she's like, see, I see no problem with what you did there. Mm-hmm. You could do that in a warm-up ring without getting a card. And I was like, in my head, like,
what do you mean without getting a card?
Like, are you telling me to rip my horse's back teeth out? I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. And then she's like, well, I will do it once if I need to. If we're in a situation where he's going to, let's say, he's going to go careening off into the distance.
You mean flat out gallop?
Yeah. Then I'll go, no! And then we're done.
But when would that...
That happens to me.
But yours isn't bolting. Yours is like genuinely like, you have asked me to gallop. And you're like, no, I haven't. But he's like, I'm not bolting. I just believe that you have asked me to gallop.
We're going to go. And so then, you know, I'll stop him. And then as soon as he stops, it's long rein. You know, like, good job, thanks for stopping.
Well, then that's not bolting. That's just an issue with the canter.
So I'm talking to this lady about this, and then she says to me, well, there's a reason why this horse is in a double. And I was like, okay, cool. And then she goes, maybe you should try tightening your nose band.
I'm done with this podcast.
I know, you know, like,
I
was like blown, and I was like, none of that's gonna, no. There are training issues here.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you're an excellent rider, and times. You know, and your pony is letting you down.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I don't
People have
think
said
so.
that I rode a Cloudy Cross, who I just thought was, I still do, the most incredible thing. And people were like, she's not that good. And I was like, are you seeing what I'm saying? Like, look at this beautiful body. Like, so I've had that. I'm just like,
but I mean, my horse is far superior than my riding.
oh, okay, yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
And I believe 100% that my horse is superior than my riding. And my problem is trying to harness this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to train or harness it by putting him in a tighter noseband, putting him in a double, or ripping his back teeth out. None of those things are going to fix it for me. No. So I had some technical difficulties, but yeah, you just missed me explaining the fact that horses don't love you and they're herd animals, and that's pretty much it.
They don't.
They don't love you. They are prey animals. But yeah, we might go into that in another podcast. I feel like it's a whole other topic altogether. But yeah, we'll leave it on that. And thanks for listening. You can feel free to check us out on Spotify or YouTube or wherever. Anchor. You can leave voice.
Twitter.
Twitter. Yeah, I'm big in Twitter.
Are you?
No. I've got like 100 followers maybe.
Today I actually thought of something to write, and then I thought, that's a Twitter thing. I should write that in Twitter because it would look good on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't have it. So,
yeah.
My thoughts.
Well, yes, so there's all of those different places you can leave us comments or anything like that. You can feel free, if you say anything specific to Erica, she may not be back, or she might be back. Who knows what happened. But yeah, thanks for listening, and have a great day. Bye-bye.